Hey Arshita, how are you?
Yes, sir, I'm fine. How are you?
Good, good, good. Thanks for calling.
Thank you, sir, for giving your precious time.
Not a problem. So Arshita, can you do you spell your name Harshida or Harshita?
Harshida. It's a
Harshita.
D-A-D for Delhi. Yeah.
Okay. So Arshita, can you tell me a little bit about yourself, your background? What are you? I have your questions, but just to get an idea from you.
Yeah. So, sir, I completed my PhD in 2013 June
Uh huh.
from Jodhpur University of Science and Technology.
Uh huh.
During my PhD, I was working on ferrites, magnetic nanoparticles, as well as bulk. So, my work was on synthesis and its the detailed characterization. It was kind of a basic research.
Mm-hmm.
So there I have synthesized different size of magnetic particles of ferrites,
Mm-hmm.
like for nickel zinc, cobalt zinc, and with a different concentration. I studied its magnetic property with a neutron diffraction using, like, it was a main techniques I used to understand its magnetic structure
Where,
and
where,
also its susceptibility and all
where,
this.
where was the neutron diffraction system? Where was it?
I, yeah, it's Papa Atomic Research Center,
Okay,
Mumbai, from
okay,
BARC I
yeah,
used, yeah.
got it. And then after that,
Yeah.
you did your postdoc from somewhere. Is that from?
Yeah, yes. I did my first postdoc from Thomas Bata University in Slin, Czech Republic.
Okay,
There I was working on biomedical applications
just
of
for
magnetic
just for
particles.
1 year.
Yeah, it was just for a year.
Okay, and then you went to Singapore. And so, what happened at Singapore? Why you left that job, or it was just a project?
It was just a project, like it was for just 4 years, but later they extended for 6 months more. And like the second phase were also there. Like I was expecting that there will be a second phase and
Okay,
the project, there will be second phase of project also. But the management system management is totally changed and they no more continue the materials based project.
got
So
it, got it.
my contract was end
Okay,
there.
okay. Okay, I understand your situation now. Another thing I want to ask you, just I was browsing your CV. You have done a lot of things, but one thing that struck me is you didn't have a first author publications, right? Is that there is a reason behind that?
No, I
You
have
have.
many actually.
Okay. No,
Around
no, I'm saying
15,
as a first author.
yeah, first author, I have around 15 papers.
Because the way you have written the name, it looked to me that you are you have some. Okay, okay, got it.
Yeah.
Okay, so Harshita, I would, I mean, your situation is very tricky actually. I think after PhD, you almost have 5 year of experience now, right?
Yes, yes.
Yeah. Okay. Have you tried your contacts at Rolls-Royce in India that they were able to connect you there or no?
Yes, I tried, but like in India, there is not much work in my field. Like
Okay.
in Singapore, they are working on electrification of flights, so there is like magnetic materials and work is there. While here it is more on coating
Mhm.
based materials and all. So they are very particular about the exact background they are looking.
Right,
So
right.
they're
And for you, there is no issue for you to work in location or you want to work in India?
yeah. I mean I don't have any location
Okay.
priority. Like I
Okay.
can work anywhere in the world.
Okay. No, no, sometimes people have that because of the family. That's the reason I asked.
Yes.
Okay. So, Harshita, I was thinking that how can I answer your question? So I thought I should put myself in your situation and how will I pursue things. Uh,
Mhm.
my my uh, my thinking is that the reason why probably you're not getting jobs in industry is very simple because the type of work you are doing or you have
Mhm.
done has very less applications in what industry does in India.
Yes.
most of the industries in India are manufacturing based, as I understand, and they so you know for you to find a job, whether it's Singapore or US or some places where they have the core R&D would be much easier. Okay, but the problem with that is that in at least in US, I can tell you for sure, if you have not done your education in US, the chances of you applying and getting a job is almost zero.
Yes.
It's not possible unless until you have a citizenship or green card.
Mhm.
So someone who has done his education outside US and then he is thinking of getting an industry job in US is extremely rare. I have not heard of it
Yes.
at all, unless and until um, actually, that could be one scenario. So, because as I ask you, do you have a location preference? So that's one thing. So, industry job, in my opinion, for you to get in India will be not worth of a try. I mean, by the time you may get a good idea. Okay, let's come
Yes.
to academic jobs now.
Mhm.
It is quite surprising to me that why you are not able to get an academic job. It's very surprising. And the only reason I can see that, so academic jobs, whether they are in India or they are in US, works most of the time if you have a good network. If your
Okay.
advisor knows someone, that's how it works most of the time. And it's everywhere. It's like that. And that's where I see that you may have a potential problem. So
Yes.
so
Yeah.
so here's the thing. What I was thinking is, if if your if your aim is to stay in India and get into academics, in my opinion, you probably have to find or for year at least 1 year or so, you have to do a research experience or a research job or a postdoc or whatever they call in India, I don't know, in ISC or IITs, in a good one.
No.
You have to do
Yes.
that.
Yeah.
Again, is based on because you are not getting any further from your what you have done so far. So you have done a lot of stuff, but the point here is what is lacking behind that. So that's one thing I see that is lacking, because
Mhm.
you need a good um, brand reference that could help you to go there, to at least get into an
Mhm.
interview, because after that it is your job. But because I have friends who are from ISCs and they do 2 year of postdoc, or from IITs they do 2 years of postdoc and they are working in IITs or somewhere. So
Mhm.
the only reason is because their advisor has a good network, and all the ICs and ITs, they have a good network. They help each other, students and all that. So that's where I see your CV is lacking.
Yes.
So I would,
Even, sir, actually,
yeah, go
yeah,
ahead.
may I interrupt you?
Yeah, go ahead.
Actually, twice it is like in this duration of 1 year. 1 year, I tried in many other countries like in Netherlands and New Zealand. New Zealand, like I had passed like two, three. There are 5 rounds. Then at last it was with CEO, CTO, and they have selected. And then they found some citizens, and they like it's about to they start to about to start my employment process, and it was just cancelled.
Yeah,
It was rejected. I mean, they
yeah.
said so.
Uh-huh. I mean,
It is.
as I told you that and also one thing for sure is the nature of your work could be sometimes could be critical for security purpose. And
No.
as I said, you for sure in US, as I said, applying to industry at least in US. I don't know any other countries, or maybe in some other countries I don't know much, but I can tell you for sure that in US is almost zero. Australia,
Yes.
I have heard in Australia, I mean, New Zealand, you are telling me, I have heard in Australia that people have done that. They do get some feedback, but as I said, your profile is very specific, which is good and bad both. So coming back to the point, as I said, if you want to go and settle into an academic job, because I think at this point of time you want a permanent job. You don't. I don't think you should look for a temporary job, and that's where you should work towards. And I don't know. I mean, at one point of time, everybody wants to settle down also. So my feedback is keeping that in mind is I would say you probably need 1 year or something that where you work at ISC or IITs and get one publication or so and get a good reference. I'm pretty sure you will get an interview. That's one way.
No. Mm-hmm.
Other way would be is if let's say, and that also is possible. I think could be a good route because you have a good background. But again, it's a long shot. Is to apply for a postdoc in US
Mm-hmm.
and then switch to a academic or a industry job.
Okay.
That's also,
But
yeah, go ahead.
okay. But is because I heard like there is in US there is a criteria like after at least after PhD within 5 years. After 5 years, they don't usually select a candidate who has like I got my PhD in 2013,
Yeah,
so it's been now
yes, you are
more.
right. You are right, but it's not a criteria for. It's not a hard criteria.
Okay.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, that's not a criteria, and as I said, because it is very possible. It is very possible that you can apply also for a. I mean, professors have full flexibility in US that they can hire anyone.
Okay.
Usually, the guidelines are like that. You should be hiring someone who is a fresh PhD or things like that. But
Mm-hmm.
if you are applying for a postdoc in a university, professor has a full flexibility.
Okay.
But if let's say you are applying for a national lab, so
Mm.
I have worked. My PhD was in neutron diffraction for with I use magnesium alloys to get texture and all that. So I used to work
Oh.
at NIST, which is in DC. So the neutron
Mm-hmm.
diffraction facility in US are a couple of places. One is in Oak Ridge National Lab, one is in NIST, and there is one more place I think. But both places are national lab, and their guidelines are very what you just told me that
Mm.
you would have a 5 year of within 5 year of your PhD, and they abide by that. But that
Okay.
doesn't mean that most of the postdocs, I would say 90% are from university. So university,
Mm.
you can always apply. That's not a problem. But again, as I said, applying for a university, you can do a postdoc there for 2 3 years or whatever, and then look for a job in industry or academics. That could be in US. But again, as I said, it doesn't guarantee you that, but there is this chance. what I
Yes.
what I think is good about your CV is that and and that has happened to me also in some point of time in my career is where I see I have done so much work. Why do I stop for something very small? You know what I mean? So
Yes.
I would say patience is also the key and making the right decision.
Yes.
I would definitely say the thing is that you if you don't have a job right now and you are looking for it and things like that, I would definitely say that try to utilize that time, and you are already applying, but try to apply in some universities also in US
Yes.
for a postdoc. Um,
Uh-huh.
and it could happen that because your area of expertise is very specific, that somebody might be very very interested in that.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Mm.
it is quite possible, but that you need to find it very hard. Again, it's just not
Mm.
limited to US. It can be UK or Europe too.
Yes.
But if I was you, I would. You have a good experience working outside India also. So if I was you, what I would do is basically try to figure it out. How can I find a faculty job in India? and the way to do
Mm.
it is to get a good brand name, good reference, work with them in India, whether it's IC or some top